Hello.
Hello. It's like a really nice natural fade in. Did you
I
see that?
know. Thanks, camera. We are not back in Arkansas, but the episode you're going to watch is back in Arkansas because we spent a lot of the holidays and a little bit of time after that visiting family, resting, catching up, and having a general great time.
Yep.
But we also got to take a day and go down to a national park in central Arkansas that in all of the years I lived there, I had never experienced and the kids had never experienced. So we went down to Hot Springs National Park.
We did. Did you know that Hot Springs National Park
No, I didn't, Jessica.
is actually very special in that it was the first land area that the federal government set aside to preserve and protect. And so it got its national park title in 1921. So we went to visit it in 2021, got to see it in its centennial celebration. Yay!
Roll that footage. It'll be okay. Just be hello. We are going to another national park today. We are going to Hot Springs National Park. And I gotta tell you, I have no desire to go. Not that I don't want to go to Hot Springs. I think Hot Springs sounds amazing and I think it's really cool and I'm excited to see it. But, you know, today is one of those days where I'm just meh and all I want to do is sleep and eat food and watch movies. But, you know, I know that once we go, it's going to be one of those things that I'm glad we went. So I'm going to give it a shot, especially because I love my family. So, onward. Jessica, would you like to tell everyone about our new friend?
He rides along with Dodger Dog. He does a good description of how we feel sometimes, which is go. The visitor center and park headquarters. Well, that's what we want to do. You can get it right here from that little tap.
Oh, you can get water from the tap?
Look at those people there filling it up.
So I'm very fascinated by Hot Springs. Burp?
Oh my gosh, right in my face. It's so bad. Like, really bad.
What did it smell like?
Diner food.
Oh. Anyways, I'm very fascinated by Hot Springs because it used to be like the place to go.
The place to go for any kind of like
Mommy, I didn't know.
pain, ailments, soak in the springs.
Yeah.
And then it has like gangster history,
Yeah.
which honestly I'm not really familiar with all of that, but we'll probably find out.
We should learn more because their history is super fascinating and strange. So when you do come to Hot Springs, there is free parking. You just gotta look for it.
Yeah, free parking, literally right across from bathhouses, so
Nice.
can't beat that. This is my favorite bathhouse here. It's called Quapaw, right here. And it's beautiful on the inside. It has these really pretty ceilings. Reminds me of like a old Roman bathhouse. But it's really cool because you can just pay to kind of like go to the pools, like a general entry. And there's like 4 to 5 different pools on the inside of all different like temperatures. Come here, wait, wait. Beautiful. Ready? Oh my gosh.
Look.
It's kind of creepy.
I know this is supposed to look soothing, but I'm sorry, this just feels like a horror movie.
It's mirrored all over. The ladies' cooling room. That kind of looks lovely though. Wouldn't mind doing that. Ooh. They would run the baths in here from the hot springs. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Look at the pretty ceiling.
So I have to say, this is the first national park that we've been to that's as much historic as it is natural.
Hey.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little creepy, but it's so interesting.
Daddy, it's a spring. It's the 40 ice spring.
Fordyce.
Look at it. Now we can figure out how it works.
These are real, see, because there's nothing.
That's a Moonamon. You gonna stick your hand? It says hot springs. It says no.
You can touch it.
Oh, that's very warm. Unfortunately, they don't let you just like jump into this thing. I wish they did. It's like nature's hot tub.
Whoa!
Hotter than you thought it was gonna
Startled me. Very warm. Wow. So I don't know about you. The idea of the bathhouses doesn't really call to me, but I want to jump straight into that.
That was I think they just try to preserve it here.
Ow! 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 The water overflowing!
Let's go get my mat. Oh man! Oh, I got a wet.
Hot water.
I think it's.
What are your thoughts so far?
This is our first historical stop. The others have been very like naturey.
Nature.
I think it's really neat. I think it's really fascinating to see how things change. This used to be like the place to come if you wanted to soak in the water. And there's like all these beautiful bathhouses, and you know, you kind of get to see how history changes things. It's still neat, but it's definitely not like the mecca of hot springs. Each one of those green boxes is a spring, and so this is their way of kind of like collecting it and protecting it.
Mommy, I did that.
Isaac's having a very hard time listening today. Isaac is definitely, the past few weeks, has definitely been a 2.5-year-old.
Oh yeah. Pop, pop. We're here on top of a mountain full of all these natural springs, and I'm drinking good and gather water from Target. But I am amazed. All of these green boxes are springs that they have capped, and there are so many of them just across this mountain, which I guess technically is more or less like a really large hill. This is all called Bathhouse Row, and it's just bathhouse after bathhouse after bathhouse, and you kind of think like, how are they getting so much water? And then you come up here on the mountain and you see like all these green boxes, and you realize like, you know, that's Superior Springs right there. That's going to Superior Bathhouse. That is incredible to me.
I know, but what is it for?
Like, why would somebody go there?
Yeah.
Well, they would go there if they were not feeling well and their muscles and their joints hurt. It tells us all about it here in our little map. Around the same time that he built his Great Pyramids, 4,500 years ago, the water that emerges on Hot Springs Mountain fell as rain and snow. That's what's coming out right now, it says.
What? Then how is it so hot?
Okay, so rain and melted snow trickle into the cracks. Gravity pulls it downward, and the rock temperature increases with depth, and the water emerges from the springs at an average of how much?
143 degrees.
It's just, you're just like walking along, and then there's just like steam coming off the mountain.
It comes out right there.
No, right here. Hot.
You know, it's kind of different to completely enjoy this when our son is an absolute madman. Isaac has on 3 separate occasions taken off in a dead sprint towards the hill and down the hill. I think that was a little too big for you. What's your plan? Oh, it's stuck? Hey Chess, the kids want to bring a stick. Is that okay?
That was hot.
So to recap, I think Hot Springs is a very interesting town. It's really nice. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of places to eat. I've been here a few times. Jess has been here several times. And I like it.
Is that good?
Yeah, hold it farther out. You gotta hold it farther
I
out.
can't. My arm's too
Under.
weak. I still can't. My arm's too weak. Oh my gosh. How do
Okay,
I do that?
Jessica's recap coming soon. I promised you guys that I would give Cheska an opportunity to give her thoughts, and then she promptly fell asleep in the car with the kids. So now we are here to tell you our thoughts.
I really like Hot Springs. I think Hot Springs is a really neat town to visit for the bathhouses, obviously, but it's nestled in the Ouachita Mountains, so there's a lot of really beautiful hiking. I hear that the Golfa Gorge campground is really pretty. We didn't stay there just because we were staying up the road a little bit, but I hear that that's really beautiful.
Obviously, also, this whole trip was about the national park.
Right.
So we didn't experience or get to go to the proper town or the state park around it.
I think that's what's kind of neat. I think that they say that Hot Springs National Park is an urban park because it's, I mean, really that what they're wanting to highlight is the bathhouse row and the history of the bathhouses. But literally right across from the bathhouses, it's just a whole street of restaurants and shops, and so that's kind of neat because you sort of can like take a minute and do a little history lesson and then walk across the street and go to the pancake house and have some yummy food. So I think that's pretty cool.
And then you can drive 10 minutes outside of town and be at a lake and be in the woods and have camping and do all sorts of fun things. So there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I think if you go at the beginning of the year, there's even horse races.
Yeah.
Which should be fun.
So you've been there before, like you've been to the actual Hot Springs before. Obviously we didn't go because we had 2 kids and it was a quick day trip, but you've been before.
Yes.
Would you recommend it?
Absolutely. You're missing out though. I have been a couple different times now, kind of on like a girls trip and stuff. So I think I mentioned that my favorite one is the Quapaw. You have to pay, but it's these like public thermal pools, and so if you go with your girlfriends or your family, you can like kind of all go, and there's like different.
Guys can go too.
Yeah,
don't be
absolutely.
sexist.
Yes, swimsuits required, and so you can go. A little day date or something, you can go and kind of hang out together, and but also kind of get the benefits of the water. So I like Quapaw a whole lot. That's my favorite one.
I gotta be honest, it's not for me. Like the whole concept isn't for me, but I really enjoy the national park as a whole. It's such a snapshot into what people did with their vacations and their time 100 years ago. It's just an interesting world that I've never experienced or explored before.
Yeah, I know, because I've been there to the bathhouses before, but I'd never done the museum. And so, like you said, they just kind of tried to create like a little snapshot into what it was like in the early 1900s. And it is really fascinating.
It is.
And it was also really interesting to me just to kind of like read about sort of like the amount of work that people would put into, I guess, like the priority of their health and wellness, that they would travel so far just to come to these waters.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to me.
Yeah, and this is a little thing, but something I really appreciated was in the museum, they actually acknowledged the segregation that happened and the time that this stuff was popular. And It's uncomfortable, it's awkward, but it was a great opportunity for us to have some conversations with Hannah that we hadn't really had before, and I was really appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Along with the Fordyce Museum that kind of has that like snapshot of what life was like in the 1920s, and then walking along Bathhouse Row, be sure to go down to where you can actually see the hot spring coming out of the earth. That was really cool.
The best
I like
part.
that, yeah.
So I think, after experiencing it for myself, that if you are passing through, Hot Springs is totally worth a day or two just to explore and, you know, get yourself a massage, explore the spas, and, you know, just go be 1920s fancy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do you.
So sometimes when things feel really crazy, you just have to say, that's how the truck feels right now. It's so crazy. There's like no open space.